Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. I hope you're good. Hope you enjoyed the recent episode. That was the one where I spoke with Charlie Barlow from Barmy Flags. Had loads of great feedback on it. Thank you very much for that. It was a real great chat. Loads of stories in it from Charlie. If you've not heard it, then as always, it's available at your podcast provider of choice or threelionspodcast.com. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed. Now, we're still in this lull, I guess you could call it, of having no England games. Haven't had an England game since when? November, wasn't it? Ireland at home. And we haven't got an England game until late March, Albania at home. So I'm not filling, as it were, because I enjoy all of these episodes that we put together, but we've got a little while before we can look forward to going to an England game. I'll tell you actually in a moment about how you can go to that. But this episode, I will be once again chatting with an England fan about his England journey. We'll come to that very soon, but as I just mentioned there, about going to Wembley for those games. Tickets have now gone on sale for both our home games taking place in March. We get our World Cup qualification campaign started, of course, now under the stewardship of Thomas Tuchel. We have Albania on Friday the 21st of March and then Latvia on Monday the 24th. Both at Wembley, both 7:45 kickoffs. Nearer the time, I'll be looking to speak with people who know more about our opponents than I do. Tickets for both can still be bought via the FA's ticketing site. Should you want to be part of history, seeing Tuchel's first match in charge? Of course, too, there are the Lionesses. They're at Wembley against Spain. That's a little sooner, the 26th of February. Again, the FA's ticketing website, your place to go there if you fancy that. Actually, something I just wanted to bring to your attention with regards to Wembley, something I saw on the England fans Facebook page. I didn't make a note of who posted it, so credit to whoever you were. But if you are travelling to Wembley by car, coach, bus, whatever, worth pointing out that the Wembley High Road is closed from the 13th of January to the 19th of May. No idea what the actual reason is, but it's the Wembley High Road is one of those major artery roads around the stadium. So it is really worth bearing that in mind before you make arrangements. Take a look at I think the TfL website is your best bet for that one for more information. But the last thing you want to be doing is being caught up in all of that, turning up late and it all becoming a bit of a rush. Wembley High Road is closed for the foreseeable. Thomas Tuchel, as I said, it is his first match coming up. Thought I would mention about an episode that I've been working on. I've been looking at each England manager's first game in charge of the Three Lions. Now that will be coming very soon. Maybe initially to you may not sound so interesting, but there are a few quirks that I've found. Some great pub trivia that you can impress your mates with. There are a few other interesting episodes that will be coming your way too. Just working on those. Take a little bit of time. I know I also mentioned a while back about it being the January transfer window. Trying to keep up to date with it, and frankly, as you probably know, there has been little to no movement with regards to England related players, although that'll probably change in the period of time there I've recorded this and released it, but I'm keeping an eye on it, and if it's worthwhile towards the end of January or whenever that door slams shut, I may put a recording out. But once again, thank you as always for your constant support. Right, let's crack on with this episode. Now, it's always great to chat with fellow England fans, so I'm delighted to... Let's do another one. Delighted to welcome to the show. Now, this is interesting. A Manchester United and MK Dons and England fan. Hello to Will Cooper. Will, hello there, you all right?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Russell. Yeah, thanks for the intro. Excited to be on and discuss about my England journey.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. Good, just explain to us that bit. Man United and MK Dons, that's quite a combo.
I was just about to say, probably two of the most hated clubs in the country. But yeah, slightly unusual club loyalties. But I guess I got into football at a very young age, like most people. Slightly different to a few others. Like immediate family are not massive football fans. Dad used to go and watch Palace when he was younger, but I would say he's more of a casual fan now. As such, would watch them if they were in the FA Cup final, and obviously we'll watch England in the major tournaments. But my love of football really came from my mum's side of the family, and they're all from just north of Manchester. So when you're 5 or 6, you're getting into football, and you've got family from that part of the world. And like most kids at that age, you're sort of glory hunting. Then Man United felt like the appropriate team to follow as such.
What era was that? Was that your Cantona, or was it a bit later? Or?
Yeah, a little bit later. So this would have been really sort of early noughties.
Okay.
So it's just pre Beckham moving to Real Madrid, but probably sort of 02, 03. And then off the back of that, it was around that time that MK Dons formed. And being originally from a town sort of 10 minutes north of Milton Keynes, to have a local football team on my doorstep, it was a bit of a no-brainer to go down and support them. And when you're sort of 7 or 8, you don't necessarily understand the implications of a sort of franchise football team as such. You just want to go and watch your sort of local team play football. And I've been going since the days of the National Hockey Stadium, back when we were playing in the original sort of Wimbledon colours of dark blue and yellow, and then obviously since then moved on to Stadium MK, etc. But yeah, slightly unusual club loyalties, I've got to say.
It is what it is. People grow up with the circumstances that the cards they're dealt with.
Exactly. Slightly unusual ones, but the great thing about following England is that you put your club loyalties aside and you're there to support the best players in the country, put on a shirt and wear the 3 Lions badge with pride. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, go on then. Let's move on to England. That's what we're here for. What's your earliest England memory?
Yeah, great question, Russell. So as mentioned, I sort of got into football when I was about 5 or 6, and around that time was the 2002 World Cup, back with the golden generation with the late Sven managing the side. And those are some of my earliest memories, full stop, not just football, but just in general. And I just remember there being such sort of excitement around this tournament, and just getting into football at that age. It was great to be able to watch those games, and obviously with them being on the BBC and ITV, it was easy enough to access, and it was early morning, so got a few memories of the TV being rolled into the assembly hall at school, and
so many people have
said
games. That. Yeah.
So yeah, do have vague recollections of England Brazil, and when Ronaldinho scored that goal over Seaman's head, etc. But those would be my earliest memories, and then obviously going on to the next tournament, Portugal 2004, when Rooney broke onto the scene. That's when I was really well and truly falling in love with football, and was watching every game at that point with great interest.
Because it is, like as you mentioned, like those games are on BBC, ITV, and that is like for the vast majority of us, because those games are on terrestrial, that tournaments sort of capture us, isn't it? Rather than, no one really says, "Oh yeah, I remember the qualifier against the Czech Republic or Hungary or whatever." It's always the tournaments. It's always when we're young and impressionable.
Exactly that. I mean, back then as well, there wasn't as much football on the TV as there is now. Obviously, you could dip into Sky and TNT and Amazon and God knows what other channels to get your football fix, but there wasn't really so many options back then. So to be able to have those games, on the BBC and those big tournaments being sort of my main exposure to football at that age is why those memories are still there and still super clear and fond. So
I'm guessing as a United fan, Beckham is one of those players, especially of that era, like the golden generation, the poster boy. I mean, not just any Manchester United fan, but general football fans of that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was a bit of Beckham mania going on that time. I remember before the tournament, in terms of qualification games, there aren't many that stand in your mind in terms of qualifiers that England have played in, but two that do stand out, obviously the 5-1 against Germany, and then you also had the game against Greece where you had the skinhead. And then only a matter of months later, he's there at the World Cup with his mohawk. And I mean, it was Beckham at that sort of moment in time was an absolutely massive name, international star, but not just a celebrity, but an absolutely top footballer. And it's great to see him sort of captain the side and have great sort of early memories of that of that tournament.
Did you get to see England at that time? Like, had you been to a game around then?
I'd say in the early noughties, I hadn't gone to the games. Obviously, they were travelling around at the time. They'd not been Wembley. Obviously going up to. They were obviously playing sort of Old Trafford, well, just around the country in general, weren't they? But I didn't get to go. I went to a few sort of youth games. I remember going to watch, I think, England under-17s playing at Northampton, which probably wasn't, it's not too far up the road from where I'm originally from. But in terms of the senior side, I didn't really get to see them in the flesh until sort of the early 10s as such. Well, it would have been actually in the Hodgson era, just post Capello.
Yeah,
would have been when I first saw the senior team in action, and that was at Wembley at that point.
I'm trying to think so Hodgson came in just before Capello. Capello took us to the South Africa World Cup. Then I've got a funny feeling he qualified us for the Euros. Then he had the incident with John Terry and the disagreement with the FA and all that. And then that's when Hodgson came in. That's right. Yeah. So he came in. Yeah. Just as that.
Probably had like a month prior to the tournament or something, I think. And
I think you're right. Yeah.
His first introductions to the national side would have been with the warm up friendlies and then straight into tournament football.
So is that a game that you went to then?
Actually, it would have been some of the qualifiers. I think the first qualifier post Euro 2012.
So qualification for the Brazil World Cup.
That's right. So the first England game I went to was against Ukraine many moons ago, and I just absolutely loved it. It was down in the lower tier, and the game itself was pretty forgettable. I think it was a 1-1 draw.
Did we equalise in the last minute? Was that one?
There was a late equaliser. It was right. It was a penalty, which Lampard took and then scored. And then I think a matter of minutes later, Gerrard got sent off. But sort of beyond that, nothing else to really write home about. But I just remember being like over the moon that I got to Wembley and seen England play. And I guess at that time I'd have been probably 15, 16, and was just thinking about sort of down the line when are there going to be opportunities for me to to go and watch England play again.
So was it a case of what your parents took you, or you went with some friends? And
yeah, I went with my dad to that game, so it was nice to do it with him. And then at that point I was just trying to, I guess, look at other opportunities to go to Wembley, other qualifying games. I went to I think we played Peru in a warm-up friendly.
I'd forgotten that one. Yeah.
Prior to that World Cup, so I remember going to that, and then really the bug of going to games sort of kicked on as we entered the Southgate era post Euro 2016.
So had you sort of become a travel club member or something around that period? Or?
So in terms of the travel club, I didn't really know much about it until about Euro 2020 or Euro 2021, off the back of actually the Denmark semi-final, where I massively overpaid for
Did you?
a ticket. Yeah, I ended up, I remember after the Germany game, I said to myself, I've got to get myself down to Wembley. And I banked on us. I was pretty confident with that side, and after that result, that we would beat Ukraine in Rome.
Oh yes,
which we did comfortably in the end.
It's amazing.
I was sweating for
I always forget about that game.
Throughout that game,
it's like we have all these games at Wembley, and then there's that one Ukraine game over in Rome.
Exactly. Yeah, it was quite unusual to have. I guess it was a really unusual tournament in the sense you had 12 host cities or whatever, and different countries as well, and then you also had the COVID impact within all of it as well. So you have reduced capacities, etc. But after overpaying for the Denmark game and the euphoria of that, and I just wanted more of that. And I think at that point as well, I'd had the pleasure of going out to Russia to watch us play as well. I thought, how do I do this more frequently? There must be some sort of program in place.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to people, I remember on the train on the way back being like, we only paid, I can't remember, maybe 60, 80 quid for our tickets through Fan First, or had a sort of cat-free ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I want to be able to do that. I want to go and see the national team play more often anyway. How do I go about doing it? And I got back that evening, and the following day signed up
superb.
ESTG straight away. And
well, go on, take us back. We missed out Russia there. I put us ahead quite a bit, but go on, take us back to we mentioned like about Hodgson era beginning and that. So, but you went to Russia. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so I went to uni in 2015 and got friendly with some people off my course who were massively into football. And again, we all had different club loyalties. So England was always the thing that brought us together. And I remember going around to one of my mates' flats and watching England against Russia at Euro 2016. And I remember thinking, we were discussing together, we'd love to go. We should do this at some point. Let's go out to the next tournament, knowing it was going to be a World Cup. And I mean, I haven't struggled or losing embarrassingly to Iceland. We thought actually maybe we won't get to go to the next tournament, but we kind of made a promise to ourselves, myself and my mate, that we'd go if we qualified for Russia, and we did. And I remember when the ballot was coming out for tickets and applying, I was on a placement year, so I'd saved up quite a lot of money. So I remember chatting with my mate, and we were like, we've got to go. Even as casual fans, if we don't get to go or watch England play,
just the experience,
it'd be awesome.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Just the experience. And fortunately, between us, we managed to bag ourselves a pair of semi-final tickets. Happened to be semi-final one, which was unbelievable. And then, obviously, when we flew out to Russia, we flew out to St. Petersburg for the France-Belgium semi. We knew at that point we'd beaten Sweden in the quarterfinal, so we were it was a no-brainer to go and spend more money and do whatever we could to get our hands on tickets for against Croatia. And I would hands down say that free kick that Trippier scored is probably the best moment I've had in a football stadium. Better than even when Cole Palmer scored in Berlin. It's just nothing like it. And I think as amazing as the last few Euro tournaments have been getting so far, I think there's something that bit more special about being in a World Cup, actually playing. I know it was European opposition, but playing the best nations across the planet and winning the biggest prize in football. So to be there, seeing them go 1-0 up in a World Cup semi-final.
So early as well, wasn't it?
And so early was so special.
So how did you manage to get those tickets? Because they must have been like gold dust, were they?
We were really lucky. Through the ballot process, we meticulously planned all these potential games we could go to in terms of, I think all the groups and stuff had been drawn. But because I was on a work placement at the time, I couldn't go to the early parts of the games. The early part of the tournament. But the latter part of the tournament, I'd finished the work placement. So we kind of agreed we'd try and get some tickets to the latter part of the tournament. And between our two ticketing accounts, we managed to get, when going in the queue, we were just really, really fortunate. We were early enough to get in when it was first come, first serve. And at that point, pretty much tickets to every game were available, bar the final. So we were like, oh, quick, let's just pick a semi-final. And we managed to get cheapest category as well. So absolute gold dust, very, very fortunate. And then it just so happened that a few months down the line when we got out there that England were sort of that far on in the tournament and we're going to be playing in the other semi. And then it was great. In fact, we actually had to leave the first semi-final early to get an overnight train from St. Petersburg to Moscow to make sure that we were in the city ahead of the game. We were really worried. Otherwise, we'd have been paying. I think we were looking at Ubers and absolutely extortionate flights.
I
remember thinking, why can't we just get an overnight train or something like that? Because transport on trains there were free if you had your fan ID. And I remember we went to try and book a spot, and there was only one spot. There was two of us. We thought, we can't do this. And we were looking at all these different options. We were really stressing. And then fortunately, we went back there about an hour later and almost we're just like, have you got any more spaces at all? And they're like, actually, there are a few more. And we booked on it. But the time of the train was just after full time of this other semi-final. So we said to ourselves, we're going to have to sacrifice a few minutes of this game. Unfortunately, we didn't miss any goals or anything like that. So we played it really well. And then on this overnight train, we ended up being in a coach with a Colombian couple, which was quite interesting off the back of the round of 16. But they were great and actually very good natured. And I think they were more annoyed about the refereeing performance rather than kind of what happened in the shootout and stuff. They were.
That's great. Meeting people in tournaments, I think, is one of those things that you don't really think about beforehand. You're so focused on seeing England, in our case, at a tournament and just sort of experiencing it. There's all these other little things that you sort of encounter, meeting people from other countries and obviously seeing places and that, but there's so many other things that bring this whole experience together. That's what whet my appetite after going to Russia. I thought I've got the bug now. I want to, as long as I can afford it and as long as England qualify, I'd love to go to all these other tournaments where I can. And just, I couldn't believe as well the presence of South American or Latin American fans, the number of Mexicans and Brazilian fans, Argentinians as well. All three of those nations have gone out of
the tournament when we were in Russia, and yet they were still there in their droves, and making an absolutely cracking atmosphere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought, this is just a festival of football. This is something I want to be part of. And the fact that England were there just made it all that bit more sweeter.
Absolutely.
Shame we just couldn't get it over the line. So
yeah, same story that's still with us. However many years later, 2018, seven years later. Did you go to Qatar?
Yeah, I managed to get myself out to Qatar as well. So again, off the back of the previous World Cup and joining ESTC and being at the Euros as well, it felt like a bit of a no-brainer at that point to see if we could go out and watch England there. And yeah, managed again to, through the fan club, pick up some tickets for the quarter final. So went out for a short period. I just started a new role, so I didn't want to take the mick too much in terms of annual leave and whatnot, but was keen to get out there and see us play. And I think that was the tournament I've probably been most excited for, because we went in with, although a pretty poor Nations League campaign before that, the group stage was really encouraging. We obviously had a lot of youngsters who are, I guess, mainstays of the team now in Bellingham and Saka, really making their mark as well early on. And I thought actually that's probably the tournament where I've seen England play their best football. I thought we were very unfortunate to lose to France. I thought on another day, it could have easily been a 2-1 win for ourselves. But again, an absolute privilege to go overseas and watch the national team play and put up a really good fight as well. There have been games in the past, whether it be at Wembley or some tournaments where you kind of go away and think, not that we didn't give our all, but you know England are capable of playing so much better. But I remember coming away from that France game, although frustrated, I remember thinking, we gave them a great game. And now I think that was our chance. And I remember coming out afterwards thinking, I think it's difficult to know, but I think that was a pretty open tournament. Yeah. If we'd beaten France, we'd have had Morocco in the semi-final, which you never know, but you'd like to think we'd have beaten them. And then again, as you're in the final, it's a one-off game. Yeah. Anything can happen. And I mean, that Argentina side, I know they had a bit of messy magic and whatnot, but I don't think defensively they were particularly
you're right.
Great side. So we've had opportunities, and hey, who knows if buts and maybes, wishful thinking, but
absolutely,
yeah, great to go and see the team out there.
Let's bring us almost back up to date. So last year, the Euros, where did you sort of witness the Euros of Germany?
Yeah, so a bit like yourself and quite a lot of other fans, Russell, sort of back and forth a bit. I managed to, through the fan club, managed to get tickets to the first two group games. So was out in Gelsenkirchen for the game against Serbia, which was a very late evening.
We caught up in all the train.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Very late evening, but it was great to see that, and was super excited at that point. Obviously won the game, 3 points on the board, and with the way the Euros work now, you always fancy yourself after winning the first game to be getting out of the group. And then stayed out and went over to Frankfurt for the game against Denmark, and I think that's when negativity really started creeping in.
Right.
Not just in the stadium, but obviously back at home as well. Wasn't the best performance, and despite getting the draw and having 4 points on the board, I think a lot of us were deeply concerned going into the last game that actually we might not come out of the group as winners, and then theoretically give us an easier game in the round of 16. And then went back home before the third group game against Slovenia, which in some ways probably glad I wasn't there.
Dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, although the weather would have been fantastic in Cologne as a city, I know it's great. The football on the pitch anyway, I don't think was much to write home about as such. So it was back home for that, and then I was just chatting with my mate, and we kind of had an idea that look, let's put our names in the. Let me rephrase that.
Is this the same mate that you went to Russia with?
Yeah, it's the same mate that I went to Russia with. We sort of said if we progress, let's see if we can go to some of the other games, and we'd put ourselves forward for tickets for. I applied for tickets for the final, and my mate went out for the semi as well. But in my case, round of 16 was a very stressful viewing back in Milton Keynes, and was obviously over the moon. I say over the moon, relieved more than anything when
I guess you're
Bellingham
right.
Struck that overhead kick. It was absolutely fantastic, but it was a really, really poor performance. But started to feel a lot more encouraged for the Switzerland game, and although we went 1-0 down, the performance was improved, and obviously a bit of magic from Saka and 5 brilliant penalties put us into the semi-finals. And I mean, at that point, then you're only 2 games away from winning the thing. And watched the semi-final very, very in great anticipation in my flat, knowing that if we were to beat the Dutch, that I'd be going out to Berlin. And I think that was the pick of the games. And I think most people would probably agree. The performance in the first half was excellent, and I wasn't too concerned when we went 1-0 down. We played some really good stuff, and thoroughly deserved to be in the game at 1-1 at half time. And then the second half was super tense, but once Watkins slotted that strike in the 90th minute, I was on my phone immediately looking at flights and whatnot, how to get out to Berlin, and then taking a very indirect route via Prague and a couple of super early morning trains.
Oh, right.
Managed to get myself over to Berlin ahead of the big one as such.
Yeah. So where were you in the ground there for that?
So for the final, was down on the lower tier, towards the back. I had a cracking view, sort of in line with the corner flag. Obviously, in amongst the rest of the England fans who were in the same sort of category as me. So it was great. Obviously, that Palmer scored down that end as well. And the roar when that went in was just unbelievable.
Just wasn't to be though, was it?
No, not quite. It was unfortunate, but I think with the benefit of hindsight, and you have to say, I think the Spanish were the best team at the tournament. They were probably the better team in the final as well. I know we had spells where we looked really threatening, and we thought, maybe this is the time, maybe this is the year we'll come home. But I didn't really have too many complaints at full time, which I don't think could be said for, say, the previous Euros final against Italy, where I thought we were very unfortunate. But Spain, they know what they're doing. They've got an incredible record in finals, and it's the same with the club sides as well in European competitions and in the Conference League and the Champions League as well. They know how to get the job done, and they're again. So just hoping now, when as we sort of line up for Canada, US, and Mexico, that I can get myself to a few more away games. I know that ESTC membership, in terms of number of people joining, keeps increasing, and tickets are more and more in demand. And although I've been fortunate to get tickets to or go and watch us play at these big tournaments, I'd love to go and watch us play in some more qualifiers, other than Malta in summer of 2023. I haven't had much luck, so fingers crossed for some tickets for either Latvia or Andorra or Serbia or Albania, they'll be difficult to
got to be in it to win it. You got to keep applying.
Exactly.
Well, in the time that we've got left, I think it's fair to say we're all quietly confident that we will get to that Canada, America, Mexico finals. But the man taking us there, Thomas Tuchel, what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting appointment. I thought Lee Carsley did a great job over that interim period for the Nations League, and I thought he was brave as well, trying a few new things. And I don't mind games like that. Probably the chance to sort of experiment a little bit. So I didn't mind him trying something different against Greece at home. But I think I think it's a really astute appointment. I know quite a lot of people were very much for an English manager for the national team, but I think in recent years, I know Southgate did a great job, but when you look at the quality of homegrown coaches, particularly the last sort of 20, 30 years, it's not quite at the level it used to be. I mean, we've never had an English manager actually win the Premier League, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
So I think deep down, I mean, although it'd be nice to have that sort of, Englishman on the side, if we're to win the big prize, nobody's really going to care who does it, if it's a German or somebody from the Netherlands or Spain or wherever. I think all England fans would rather have a manager from a different nation get us over the line and bring home the bacon as such, rather than
a trophy in the cupboard.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than an Englishman who takes us a long way but doesn't get the job done. And I think his record speaks for itself in terms of he's won European title, obviously with Chelsea, and he's won domestic leagues in Germany and France. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think it's a really exciting time. We've got a great squad, loads of youngsters. He obviously knows the setup of the FA quite well, and having involvement with Chelsea in the past in the Prem. So he's got the knowledge. He's a great coach, and I'm excited to see what he does over the first load of qualifiers.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. We're all hoping that. Yeah, let's hope that. Yeah, what is it? Andorra and it's Albania and Latvia in March.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time. Just taking us through that England journey. It's always great to speak with England fans and hearing what they went through. We're all got these similar memories that they're all the same, but they're all so different. So thank you for that.
Very much a trip down memory lane. It's great to do it. Great to go through all these memories, and it's great to listen to them. So thanks again for your time, Russell. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Many thanks to Will there for his time. Much appreciated. If, like Will, you'd like to share your England journey, just drop me a note, either on email, 3linespodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out via social media. You'll find me all the usual places. I look forward to hearing from you. So until the next time, take care of yourselves. Cheers.